Okay. Good day, 90211. I'm Tiffany Rothman, and here I am with my wonderful and amazing co host, Chris Sloan. How are you today?
Hi, Tiffany. I'm doing much better today than I have been in the last few weeks. So thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you for asking. I know it's been tough because I think people's getting sick because of the result from the COVID shots. That's what my doctors say. So today, I would like to discuss about the film that I was in. It's about single mothers and poverty rates. The film called Dawn of Skate. And do you know that single mothers most likely to live in poverty rate than single fathers?
Yeah, the fathers tend to take off, and the mothers are left with the children. But I think in nature, that's kind of the default, meaning that in nature, it's the female that takes care of the offspring more than the males. So with human beings, it's similar, right?
Yes, unfortunately. And research have shown, this is like a few years ago, the unpaid child support, according to US Department of Health and Human Services. In 2018, the non-custodial parent across the country owed more than $114.6 billion dollars in child support debt. Can you believe that?
That's a lot of money um, owed for child support. Yeah, billions, billions. What does that tell you?
People are dead, like deadbeat parents, like in 2015, which is like only 10 years ago. The Census Bureau data indicate that only 43.5% of custodian parents receive full payments of child support. That's less than half. Some wouldn't collect it if it is blood money. Some feel that the trouble is not worth it, such as domestic violence was involved. Like, believe it or not, I went to an event, this is recently, and this lady, I met a young lady, she told me that she had the baby at a very young age, and she didn't know that the baby father would do things like trafficking, pimping out young lady, and then they found her, they would come and ask for help. So she reported him, and he went to prison. He got out, but he's still doing it. And she won't collect child support from him. She said that is blood money. The trouble is not worth it. And then when I was a school psychologist in New York City, once I deal with this young girl, and she was very, very upset. And I spoke to the family, and I only able to at that time only able to reach the sister. And I was asking about the involvement of her father, and she said, "No, he's a dangerous man. We want nothing to do with him. No child support or whatsoever, because he used to beat up my mother." And the young woman herself, he said that I have no relationship with him because when I was little, he claimed that I am not his. So that way he doesn't have to pay child support.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to pay child support? Nobody, right?
But that's your kid.
Nobody wants to pay it. And some of the parent that's not taking care of the child, sometimes they don't even want to see the child, so why would they want to pay anyway?
Oh, they can't
The
see.
only time that there's motivation for somebody to pay child support is if they want to be able to see their child. They're forced to do that. But in many cases, the parent that's not taking care of the child doesn't have a strong enough interest in the child, so then they don't pay.
Yes, like
Period.
the poverty rate that was done by some research in 2018 is that families run by unmarried mothers were more severe than for those who led by unmarried fathers or married couple. Like for example, couples married with children in poverty would be 6% versus the household of single mothers. Like 28% is for white, non-Hispanic, 29% is Asian, 37% is Native, 38% is Black, and 38% is for Latinos. Like in the article, according to the article, effects on single parents on financial stability. Under the section income in 1991, household headed by women with children had the lowest median income in all family household with children. Believe that?
Well, I mean, it's pretty normal that you're going to have one parent supporting a family. Obviously, one parent can only make so much compared to two. So immediately, instead of having two incomes, you have one income. And that one income, if it's a mother, I mean, statistically, I believe men still earn more than women statistically. So not only do you have that sort of disadvantage, even though over the last few decades, females have grown dramatically in corporate America for a positive reason, but yet still, if you have a young female mother, maybe not quite completely educated yet, with job experience, the challenge is income. So you have one paycheck coming in, and it might be from somebody that does not have the skills to garner a higher salary. So that's a problem. It's kind of like a never-ending cycle because, again, in most cases, it's the mother that ends up with the child, and they may have less of a chance to earn a higher income, especially when they're on the younger side. Because if they're just in or out of high school, what are the chances of them being able to go to college and finish college on time if they're taking care of a child? Unless they have assistance from a family where they can still continue
or they
their
feel
career.
hopeless because when I was in college, I have class with some single parents, mostly mother, and she's at my university. Thanks God they have childcare, so she would put a kid in childcare. She would go to her classes, and maybe even with a part-time job. She said, "Well, that was the mistake I have to do." So some of us in the class that we feel bad, we say like, "We'll babysit sometime if you want to go out." And then at the bus stop, I met this woman. She has 3 children, and she said that she left her husband because when the last child was born, he has another child born with another woman. So she said it hurts too much, so she took off. She applied to the university, and she guess what's her major? She's pre-med. Always made dean list, raising 3 children at the same time. I would see her at the bus stop taking the kids either to school or to daycare, and then she would go to school, and then in the early evening she would come back and cook and study, and she would make dean lists every single semester. And you know what, Al, Chris, a long time ago, this is back in the
That sounds like more of
that
the
sound positive,
extreme.
right?
I would say that that's a pretty successful story.
Yeah, it's rare, but I think that she was so angry at her husband, she decided to make a life for herself, and she said, "That's it, I'm going to do this." So I graduated a year or two after, and I'm not in touch with her. But when I saw her with 3 beautiful children, they all healthy, and she always made dean lists. And people say, "Oh my goodness, it's hard enough to make dean lists. Never mind about being a single mom with raising 3 kids." And then this is really interesting. Back a long time ago in 1971, Robert Lerman of the Urban Institute showed that its marriage rate has stayed the same. The poverty rate would have been 4% lower overall instead of rising. Surprise?
I don't know. Maybe.
So I,
So what is Dawn of Skates all about, Tiffany? Tell us about that.
that's, I think because they work together because when I was in college, I met this family of 5, religious Catholic, and the father raised 5 children on his disability because he's a very bright man. Actually, he was going to MIT and marry at the same time, and his mother got sick and his wife got pregnant, so he had to drop out and work as a work in constructions. And after they have their fifth kid, he got injured. So he collect disability. And the mother get a job like for the school, like work in a cafeteria. So that's not much. And he raised five children, but they're very devoted to their children and they all turn out beautifully. I mean, they go to college and they would make dean lists. They would like graduate, they get good job, and they're very smart. And one semester, one of the girls, she came back. She said, "I spent a lot of time with my father over the holidays, and he told me that I'm a lot more mature now than I was last year." So, and I thought that was a beautiful thing to say. Like they're into their children and give their children compliment, even though that they're not at all wealthy, like not at all. So back on the movie,
And you did the film Dawn of Skates, correct?
Dawn of Skate was beautifully written and directed by Michelle Chung. I think we call her Mid Chung. And I played the mother, and my character has a teenage daughter. In this role, I'm newly divorced with two blue collar jobs. And my daughter's like a junior in high school who appears to be missing her father. And the father's only appears in the photo image and is not an active character. And the implication is he create another family without paying child support. So my kid in this film, she would come home from her school and she would watch TV and she decided that she wanted to be a figure ice skater like Michelle Kwan. And I spoke to her. I practically laughed. I said, like, you kidding me? That's for wealthy people. How can we do that? So she then asked for a roller skate because it was not possible for me to provide that kind of luxury. So in this story, she agreed to clean up and save up money for a roller skate. And I felt like her request is not at all unreasonable. It's a beautiful thing that she appreciates the art of ice skating. You know what I mean? Like she's not on drugs, she's not running around. All she did do homework, she watched TV, and she wanted to become an artist. But it's just too expensive. So she cannot have that because of the situation. A blue collar single mom makes it impossible. So she decided to learn next best thing to ice skating. And it would be more like economical for her situation, roller skating, and she was able to get herself in a situation that would be more gratifying for her soul. And I don't want to spoil though who doesn't know about the film Dawn of Skate here. The daughter is motivated to accomplish her dream as a skater, and even though she doesn't have any money, she would do everything. You know what I mean, Chris? Like do everything, everything. She probably
And
in a,
when did you film this?
I filmed this. It must be around like late 2021 in San Francisco. Like here, she showed that she is motivated enough to accomplish her dream. She has great constructive drive, and she is trying to make things better in her life. In a way, she's like her proud mother. Her mother works hard at two jobs to provide for them without having to depend on anyone. And she wanted to make something out of herself.
So, how did it feel to play a character that's a single mother raising two children? And how did you prepare for that?
Well, actually, as you know, I'm an immigrant. I came from Vietnam and I came here with my mother only. But we got lucky because we were able to purchase a house with relative, upstairs and downstairs. And my godmother, who's from my father's side, she sacrificed everything and she lived with us. So I have like two mothers taking care of us. And I see the situation. I say, this is tough, but I appreciate the fact that I have another mother here to like to do all the cooking and make sure that I'm really well fed. So I just imagine myself in that situation. See, I didn't want to do ice skating. I only want to dance, and it was very difficult too because dance class costs money. So in a way, I remember what I did was I would take I would go to another dance class. I took dance class in school, and I would go to another class, couple period a week or something to brush up my skill, and then I would ask to use the studio at the end of the day after school. So in a way, I'm kind of like Dawn. She tried to practice. She tried to work within her situations. But the movie's lovely.
And Dawn is the character Dawn the mother or the daughter?
Daughter, Dawn is the daughter. Dawn of Skye.
And what's the name of the mother's character?
Hong. That's a typical Vietnamese name that means for pink.
And how do you spell that?
Hong.
Hong, Hong.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And you filmed it in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's lovely. I have a poster for it. I should have the link so I should ask for the link again so I can send it to you.
And any idea of the motivation behind the story by the writer? Did the writer go through something similar as a child? Did you ever dig into, as far as the writer and why they wrote the story and what was behind it?
I didn't ask, because I didn't want to get into her personal life and whatsoever. I didn't ask because she already finished graduate school. I think that she probably looked at all the situation and decided to write the story about it.
If you had to guess, do you think there was a correlation between what happened in the writer's life and the script? Do you think there's a possibility that the writer grew up with a single parent, if you had to guess?
Maybe, and I hope not, but maybe. But she is a skater. She's a roller skater. So maybe. I hope not. I only want the best for all the kids. And she's a young woman.
Well, sometimes writers write based on their own experiences, right?
Oh yeah,
So
most of the
I
time.
wouldn't be surprised if somehow there might be a connection.
Yes, probably. And you know what? I ask the question all the time: why won't the other parents volunteer to support their kids? This should include straightening out their own lives, like for discussion. Like beside lack of this, we should talk about it. This lack of financial or job insecurity or conflict with another parents. Some sue for full custody to avoid paying child support. Oh, that's really an interesting one. You want to hear about the suing for custody, full custody to avoid child support? I mean, this is the truth.
Yeah, tell me a good story.
So, when my husband was a family law attorney in New York, he once he questions someone. I think he represented maybe the mother or something, and he questions someone. He asked him, when did you receive the child support notice? And he named the day. And so he asked him, when did you sue for full custody? He said he named the following day. You understand now? He got it on Tuesday. He sued on Wednesday.
So he was going to sue for full custody?
Right. So my husband asked him, if the mother dropped the child support, will you drop the custody? And he said, yes, of course.
Yeah, so he was just suing to counter sue he was suing as a counter sue because she was suing for the child support, correct?
He
So
figured out it's cheaper.
that was his motivation.
Yeah, he figured out it's cheaper for him to take care of the kids. And that's not true. So
Yeah.
you know what the judge ruled? The judge said, forget it. The child remained with the mother and you are paying child support.
Well, I mean, depending on the state, now each state is different. In
Yeah.
some states, if you don't pay, you go to jail.
Oh,
If you don't pay your child support, you go to jail.
But I think like some states is they do things that's not even ethical. Like they have the lawyer from the other side talk to the child alone. I mean, in New York, that would be illegal, and I'm sure it's in Los Angeles the same way too. But the fact is like that this is your kids. Why wouldn't you pay child support? I mean, we talk about celebrity like Frank Sinatra. I'm sure you know who he is, right?
Of course, the chairman of the board.
Oh yeah. when he got divorced, his first wife, she never hate him. She never say anything bad about him because he not only paid child support and alimony, he would spend all the holidays with his children and his ex-wife. He makes sure of that. And she said that he makes sure that everyone treat me like a lady because he always treat her like a lady, even when they divorce. So my conclusion is if you divorce, you do it the Sinatra way. You know, if you cannot give so much, you give what you
Well,
can.
I'm not sure what the laws are in California,
I'm sure
but
it's
I
not
had a friend that went to jail due to not paying child support,
where in California.
and this was on the East Coast.
Oh yeah,
No, it was in another state on the East Coast.
yes. So Pennsylvania,
And
yeah.
I always thought, well, how are they going to pay? How will they eventually pay their child support if they're not earning any money sitting in jail?
Well,
And
the
then what
thing is,
happens is
they refuse to.
they continue to add it up in what they call in the rears.
See,
And then you get out of jail and then you have to pay this large sum. And then
no,
the challenge is they don't have the money because they just got out of prison and then they send them back to prison. And that's what happened to my friend over a course of a couple years.
well, the thing is, he's supposed to get a regular job, not under the table only. Because under the table, you don't pay anything, and even if you on welfare, it used to be you're supposed to pay $25 a month, even if you're on welfare. So if he has a regular job, which he probably won't get one because he doesn't want to pay child support.
Well, you can't get it. How do you work a job though when you're sitting in prison?
Afterward, they would let's say if you got a job at
Well,
the
but what happens is if what happens is while you're in prison, they continue to add
well,
every month the child support that's owed for the month that you're even in prison,
or I don't know
right?
about that, but when he get out,
So
he can get a job like say
so
McDonald's.
here's what happened to him. So he would do like I don't know 3 months at a time or whatever. They would continue to add those 3 months and expect as soon as he got out, you have to pay that money. Well, he didn't have money because he was in prison. They would give him like 30 days.
What about
Well,
some guy who's like some kind of fancy engineer, and this is a long time ago. This is before I had my daughter, and it got to be like over 35 years ago. He was an engineer, and he made 90,000, and he quit his job so he doesn't have to pay child support. He's not interested in himself. He's just only interested in
well,
getting.
you still have to pay child support whether you work a job or not.
But he quit
You're,
that job. This is 35 years ago. He quit the
yeah,
job.
but you still have to pay. You
Yeah.
still have to pay child support.
Went to jail too. So after a while, the mother said, I don't care. I give up because if you don't pay child support, they have nothing to do with you. And you don't have the children. And when you get older, that's your tough luck.
Well, and think about it. What if they don't care about the children?
Then when they get older, they regret it. If they get sick when they get older, that's just too bad.
I think some regret, some don't.
Yeah, so
Depends on the person.
depend on the person. But I think if you don't do the right thing, you regret it regardless. It's unfortunate. Job security whatsoever, lack of finance. Lack of finance, even people on welfare have to pay $25 a month. It's unfortunate. And the percentage is not cheap either. And sometimes I feel like they, what do you call them, that they would like do things unethical so they don't have to do that. But regardless what, that's their karma, not ours. Chris, I would like to do
Yeah.
I would like to do some incense offering now.
Okay.
So since we talk about unpleasant topic, like do some incense offering to clear it out. The fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present with us now. The fragrance of this incense fills our practice center, protects and guards our mind from all wrong thinking. Let's see, look what I have now. The card said Kuan Yi Ka. Let's pull this one. You see this?
What is it?
It drink from the emerald fountain. The divine feminine is encouraging of the awakening and empowerment of all things living being. Healing at the emerald fountain. But laying or sitting comfortably, close your eyes and let your breathing relax. Imagine that before you there is a sacred place filled with emerald green light, and you hear a fountain. It sounds like a waterfall, like a beautiful woman singing sweetly, like a crystal ball being sounded, and birds singing. Allow yourself to bathe and drink in this fountain with respect and gratitude. Let yourself absorb it. Feel any emotion, releasing and simply be.
Well, that's relaxing.
So, Chris, would you like to end it with some insult from an era before the four-letter words?
Oh, let's see here. Insults. Um, okay, here's one. He is simply a shiver looking for a spine to run up. Paul Keating. That's interesting. He is simply a shiver looking for a spine to run up. Tells me that whoever that is, no matter what's going on, they just send shivers up people's spine.
What else?
Um, he loves nature in spite of what it did to him. How about that? I'm sure a lot of people can appreciate that one. That's Forrest Tucker. We all love nature, but nature sometimes has done some pretty interesting things to us that we live with, but we still love nature. How about that? Some cause happiness wherever they go. So, kind of, we were talking about the negatives of single parents, but then those single parents could be positive and make things happen and better their lives. But some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. And that's Oscar Wilde.
I love Oscar Wilde.
So, yeah, some people are, it's more positive when they leave than when they're in front of you or present.
How about this? He used statistic as a drunken man used lampposts for support rather than illumination. Andrew Lang.
Yeah, some of these make you really think, huh? Compared to the four-letter words that just kind of have immediate meaning. Why don't you do one more before we end this episode?
I've had a perfectly wonderful evening, but I'm afraid this wasn't it. Groucho Marx.
Yep, we could definitely appreciate that one, huh? All right. Well, again, the topic was single parents that go through challenges every day, but persevere. Just like in nature, it's fight or flight. And to all those single parents out there, our prayers are with you, and we're sure that you're gonna make things happen for the better for the life of yourself and your children, and never give up. By the way, Tiffany, I was born and raised by a single parent. I don't know if you knew that. I was actually raised by my father. So when I was 8 years old, my parents were divorced, and I was raised by a single parent. So I know what it's like. Not easy. Well, I don't know if I'm beautiful, but here I am. I turned out one way or another. Why don't you lead us out, Tiffany? Why don't you lead us out here? Why don't you lead us out? Lead us off the show. Thanks, Tiffany. Thank you, everybody. See you again soon.